Hello friends. In this lesson we're going to look at the simple present verb tense. So what are simple present verbs? Well, whenever we look at a verb in a sentence, we can look at it in two ways. We can look at its tense, or the time we're talking about, past, present, or future. And we can look at its aspect, or the view of the action, whether the action is completed, continuing, or general. So the simple present verb tense is talking about the present, or now, and our view of the action is that it's a simple or a general action. So this is why we call it the simple present verb tense or the present simple. You can say it either way. Basically, the simple present verb tense is a general verb tense. In fact, it's the most commonly used verb tense in English. Actually, there was a study that was done at a university in Florida where they looked at essays that some students wrote, and they looked at all the verbs in those essays that were not talking about the past. And they found that the simple present verb tense was used over 50% of the time. So this is the most commonly used verb tense in English. So you can think of it as the general verb tense in English. That is, if you're going to be using a verb tense, just use the simple present unless you have a specific reason not to. So let's look at some of the functions of the simple present. First, we use it to talk about facts. For example, coffee is black. That's a fact. Second, we use it to talk about routines or habits. For example, I drink black coffee every day. So this is something that is normal for me. And we can use it to talk about general truths or opinions. For example, coffee is delicious. That's my opinion and the opinion of most intelligent people in the world. However, we cannot say that coffee is delicious is a fact. It is more of a general truth or opinion. When we're looking at the form of the present simple, or how we write it or speak it, the helping verb for the present simple is do or does, and the main verb is the base form of the verb or the base form plus this S ending on it. And we're going to look at some examples of this. However, in the present simple, we don't always use a helping verb. And again, we're going to look at some examples. For example, if we look at a basic statement in the present simple, we would say, I drink coffee. So if we look at this, we can see there's a main verb, which is drink, and there's no helping verb here. So in the present simple, in a statement, we don't normally use a helping verb. We just use the main verb, and the main verb will be in the base form. The base form is the form of the verb that you find in the dictionary. It hasn't been changed at all. When we look at the question form, though, now we start to see the helping verb. So the question is, do you drink coffee? So we go from I drink coffee to do you drink coffee? We add this helping verb before the subject here in order to make it into a question. So in the statement, I don't say I do drink coffee unless I'm trying to emphasize that fact. We just say I drink coffee. But in the question, we say I do drink coffee, or do you drink coffee? If we're making it negative, we also use the helping verb do, but we add this word not after it. So I do not drink coffee. We can contract the negative form into I don't drink coffee. So we're contracting these two words together or making them shorter into one word here. And we're just taking out the O and putting this apostrophe in there. So I don't drink coffee. That would be a sad world. So the basic forms of the present simple are like this. I drink coffee, you drink coffee, we drink coffee, they drink coffee. So depending on the subject, we see here the main form of the verb is the same. However, when we get into other people, like he drinks coffee, she drinks coffee, or it makes coffee, we start to add this S on the verb. So this is the third person singular form of the verb. And now what do we mean by third person singular? The third person singular is the grammatical person of the subject. So if we look at the subject in these sentences, he, she, and it, these are third person, which means we're talking about other people. and they are singular, which means we're only talking about one person. So he is one person, she is one person, and it is one thing. So we call this third person singular. For all of these other grammatical persons, I, this is first person, singular. You, this is second person, singular or plural. We, this is first person, plural. And they, this is third person, plural. We don't add the S. We only add the S for the third person singular. And this is where a lot of English learners make mistakes, is they forget about this little S that we add on. So if we look at the third person singular, the helping verb that we use is does. And the main verb will be the base form plus this S ending. But we don't use both of them together. So what does this look like? So if we give a basic statement, like she drinks coffee, we see there's no helping verb here. So this S has to go on the main verb. Something has to carry the S, and the main verb is going to carry it if there's no helping verb. However, if we do have the helping verb, then the S goes on the helping verb, not the main verb. So we basically took the S from the main verb and we moved it over to the helping verb. So if we're using the helping verb, the S will go to the helping verb. So does she drink coffee? And again, if we're making it negative, we see the same thing. The S ending is on the helping verb, not on the main verb. So she does not drink coffee. We don't say she does not drinks coffee. So we're only going to have one S, and it's going to go on the helping verb if there is a helping verb. If there's no helping verb, then the S goes on the main verb. And again, we can contract this. She doesn't drink coffee. And she must lead a sad life if she doesn't drink coffee. So let's look at the spelling, because we see here with the do and does, we're adding ES, but with drinks, we're only adding S. So what's the difference here? Basically, we add ES when the verb ends in one of these letters or sound combinations. So S, SS, SH, Z, CH, or X. So we're adding ES to any verbs that end in one of these letters. For example, rises, misses, wishes, buzzes, reaches, or fixes. Now, why are we adding ES to these specific words? Well, with rise, it already ends in an E, but it looks like ES there. We're adding ES here and ES here. Why are we doing this? The reason is that these sounds here sound very close to the S letter that we're adding onto the end of the word. So because these sounds are very close to the same sound of the letter that we're adding, we need to be able to break the sounds apart so that we can hear the sounds. So it's very difficult to say buzz with just the S if we took that E off. But if we say buzzes, then we can hear this extra sound here. It separates the sound. So the E is just separating the sound at the end of the word from the inflection or the ending that we're adding to the word. If the word ends in a Y, then we're going to change the Y to IES. For example, study becomes studies, try becomes tries, copy becomes copies. So we take off this Y and we add IES to the end of the word. For all other verbs, if they're third person singular, we just add an S to the end of the verb. So look becomes looks, listen becomes listens, take becomes takes, make becomes makes, see becomes sees, come becomes comes, and say becomes says, play becomes plays. Now, if we look at these last two, you'll notice that they end in a Y, but we didn't change that Y. Why did we not change the Y? The reason is because there's a vowel before it. So if there's a Y at the end of the word, but there's a vowel before the Y, then we don't change the Y at all. We just leave it alone. So here we change the Y, but we can see that there's a consonant before the Y in these words. Whereas in these words, there's a vowel before the Y. So that's why we're not changing the Y. We're just adding S to the end of the word. And then we do have a few special forms for the third person singular. Do becomes does, and the pronunciation of it is does. Have becomes has, and go becomes goes. So let's practice. Look at these sentences here. Pause the video and see if you can find all of the verbs that are in the present simple tense. So pause the video, try to find all the verbs in the present simple tense, and then unpause the video when you're ready to see which ones there are. So in these sentences, we can see all of these verbs are in the present simple. Now, which ones are third person singular? That would be this one here and this one here, because we can see the S ending on those words. Let's do another example. So look at this paragraph here. It's a little bit longer, a little bit harder. See if you can find all of the verbs that are in the present simple. Pause the video while you do this. And once you've found the verbs, see if you can identify or figure out which ones are third person singular. So look for all the present simple verbs and try and figure out which ones are third person singular. And when you're ready, then unpause the video to see the answers. All right, so in this paragraph, here are all of the present simple verbs. Now, if we look, this one here is third person singular because we see the S ending. This one is third person singular. We see the S ending. This one is third person singular. We see the S ending there. This one is third person singular. We see the IES ending there. And then also we have the be verb. This is third person singular, and third person singular. All right. So that's it for this lesson on the present simple verbs. I hope it helped. Thanks for watching.